Okay, let's start. Welcome back. We're after the break, etc. Okay, let me start these things. Can you see the what do you call it? The slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The reference of 4A was Stiglitz and Walsh. The reference of this one is chapter 2 of McGuigan, chapter 3 of McGuigan. We are not definitely going to cover 28 to 62 or 64 to 98, but the page numbers are over here, so you can look at the slides and read the text over there. Okay, now what we want to show is look at this graph and look at it very carefully. For demand, it's written desired rate of purchase. For supply, it's written planned rate of sale. So when you look at the text and you see these two words, you might get a little bit stuck in the sense, why is it writing desired rate of purchase for households? Why is it writing planned rate of sale for the firms? Let me show you one. Okay, look at this table. This is table 3.1. It's on page number 67. When we look at a supply relationship or a demand relationship, we are looking at a set of prices and what is the quantity demanded or the quantity supplied against those set of prices. So this is the supply schedule. So if the price was 4.1, what is the quantity produced every week? It's 11.5. If the quantity is 3.5, how much will a firm plan to produce, etc. That's why I intentionally showed this graph so that this confusion can be clarified. When we are talking about planned rate of sales, the firm is confronting a particular set of prices. So if it is this price, what does the firm plan to sell? Similarly, the household is also confronting that same set of prices. So if the price of a commodity is such and such, how much does the household plan or desire to purchase in a particular time period? The demand analysis or the supply analysis is what farms and households plan to do. It does not tell us what they actually do. Am I clear? Have I clearly distinguished myself? Farms respond to a set of prices. So if the price were this, what is their planned output? Households also respond to that same set of prices. If the price is this, what is the desired rate of purchase for the households? So by this type of logic, we are not looking at what firms actually do, what firms plan to do. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Acha. Let me give you a classic example. Now it is pandemic, so all the markets are, what do you call it? They're closed. But during a normal time, when we go to a market, isn't it always the case that there's a little bit of shortage or a little bit of surplus all the time? Will markets ever be balanced? If we go to any market, either you will find a shortage of, suppose we're going to a fish market and we want to buy, say, Hilsa fish. No matter how many markets sell Hilsa fish in Dhaka, some markets will have a little bit more, some markets will have a little bit of shortage, right?
Yes, sir.
The markets will never be in equilibrium. But the point that we want to make is, if there is surplus in a market, what is happening? At the market price, sellers have unsold amount of fish, or they have produced more fish than the buyers are willing to buy at a particular price, right? This is
Yes,
the
sir.
price, and we go to a particular Hilsa market, wherever that is in Dhaka city, and we find that at the end of the day, some fish has not been sold. So we can come to the conclusion that at today's market price, there was a surplus in the market. We go to another one and we find that all the fish has been sold. buyers are standing with the hope that can we buy one or two hillsides. So what happens is, no matter which market we go to, at what point of time, some markets will have a little bit of surplus where producers produce more than what buyers are willing to buy, or there will be a shortage. Producers have not produced enough. Now, when there is a surplus, what happens to the market price? What does common sense tell us? Won't the price have a tendency to fall?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When there's a shortage in the market, then the price will definitely have a tendency to rise.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Supply and demand.
It's just supply and demand, but the point that we want to make is that when there is a surplus in the market, it is in the interest of the suppliers to get rid of their sales. When there is a shortage in the market, those who want the commodity more are prepared to pay a higher price. So the people who are producing, they know there's a shortage in the market. So if I can come and produce it, those who are willing to pay more will be prepared to pay a higher price. So the price goes up. So if we now go to the graph, it will be evident. This is so. If the market price is P1, what happens? Are we producing more or producing less? If the
So
market
we're
price,
Producing less.
if the market price is P1, this is supply. We are producing QS. Households are demanding QD. Aren't we producing more?
Yes, sir.
In that case, there will be a tendency for price to fall when there is surplus. Now, if the price is P0, a very low price, that's very good news for the households. They will demand a lot. But if the price is low, the farms won't have that much incentive to produce. So there will be a shortage in the market. So those who are willing to buy must be prepared to offer a higher price. So what happens? Then the supply starts to increase again. And at the equilibrium price, which will never happen in reality, then supply and demand becomes the same. Okay. The next thing is the demand that we see over here is not the demand of one household, it's the demand of all the households. The supply we see over here is not the supply of one farm, it's the supply of all farms. We start off with an individual demand and then we sum it up to get the market demand. We start off with an individual supply and we sum it up to get a market supply. Okay? Done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next thing that we want to see is this equation. Those of you who are familiar with this, how many of you are not familiar with seeing more than one independent variable on the right side? Normally we say y is a function of x. And then we have said that x is the independent variable on the right side, y is the dependent variable on the left side. This is a convention. Now, look at it over here. Quantity is a function of 4 independent variables. Who is not familiar by looking at a function like this? Is there anybody in the class who is not familiar looking at a function like this? So we are all familiar. Can I reach the conclusion that we are all familiar? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then it will be easy. Easy in the sense it will be. We can finish this very quickly. Wait, where's the color? Come on. Now look, quantity demanded is a function of the commodity's own price. Doesn't quantity demanded also depend on the price of a substitute?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't quantity demanded also depend on the price of a complement that for example, car and fuel? Can I use any one of them separately? We have to use them together, right?
Yes, sir.
And finally, there are 3,000 reasons, but last one is income. So this is a general version of a quantity demanded function where we have 4 independent variables. Okay, Jackie. Now, we have all agreed that the demand for X is, suppose, Pepsi. It depends on the price of the Pepsi. It depends on the price of a substitute, which is Coca-Cola. It depends on the price of the complement, which is burger. So if we go to a burger joint, we definitely don't have Pepsi on its own. We have it with a burger. And finally, our demand for a product is also a function of our price, income. Now, when we have many independent variables influencing a dependent variable, how do we compare? A good example is if I go to a doctor and I'm having problem with my heart, what will the heart doctor first assume? That all the other organs in my body are okay, right? Isn't this what the heart doctor will initially assume?
বাংলাদেশে তো সবকিছু ধরায় দেয়।
No, forget Bangladesh. But isn't this the logical thing to do? If I go to the doctor with a heart problem, and the heart specialist will definitely assume that there are other organs in my body that can affect my heart.
Yes.
Okay, but he assumes that all these other factors for the time being are unchanged. Then what happens? What is the advantage of this type of analysis? Then he can focus exactly what is the effect of my health due to my heart change only, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now my health is not only a function of my heart, it's also a function of probably my lungs, especially during this pandemic time. So if he wants to see the effect of my health due to my lungs, doesn't he have to initially assume that everything else is unchanged so that he can isolate the effect of my health only due to my lungs, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the type of analysis that we do. We assume, first of all, that all these are unchanged. There's a phrase in economics we use, ceteris paribus. Maybe you have heard it. It means other factors unchanged. Now you guys tell me from common sense, if all these other 3 factors are unchanged, then if the price of the Pepsi increases, don't we expect that the demand will fall?
Yes, sir.
If the price of Pepsi falls, then we definitely assume that the demand for Coke will increase, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
lovely. So, আবার এই ভুলটা করতেছে, ধরো। So this is our x-axis, y-axis. So this is quantity. This is price. So if the first part is valid, then our demand function will look like this, right? Okay, right? Price increases, quantity demanded falls. Price decreases, quantity demanded increases, right? No problem with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now Let's go to substitute. If two goods are substitute, the relationship is X or Y. If two goods are complements, the relationship is X and Y. So if the price of a substitute is increasing, we have to assume that the price of our original good is unchanged. We cannot compare two things at the same time. Whenever we compare, we always compare in pairs. It's impossible to compare three things at the same time. We are not biologically or logically wired to do so. So if the price of the substitute is increasing, we have to assume that the price of our original good, Pepsi, is unchanged. So if the price of Coke is increasing, won't our demand for Pepsi increase?
Yes, sir.
If the price of Coke is falling, this second one over here, won't the demand for Coke also fall?
Sir, demand for Pepsi.
Pepsi is X. So if the price of Coke is falling, what will happen to the demand for Pepsi? Won't it fall as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the context of complements, is just the opposite. Pepsi is consumed with a burger. So in a certain month, we have a certain budget for burgers and Pepsis. So if the price of the burger increases for whatever reason, if this month we could afford 5 burgers and Pepsis, next month we might be able to afford only 4, because X and Y are consumed together. So in the context of that, if Y is burgers and X is Pepsi as before, if the price of burgers increase, won't our demand for what do you call it, Pepsi also fall? Because our certain budget is fixed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pepsi, demand for Pepsi will fall as well.
Okay, great. And just the opposite in this case. Now, income is an interesting variable. When our income increases, our demand for certain goods increase, the demand for certain goods decrease. Now, everybody in this class is either full-time student, or if they have entered their professional life, you are very new people in the job market, right? So let's assume that we are not considering your family background or your family financial strength. As your income increases in the next 5 years, won't your demand for a high-end product also increase?
Yes, sir.
Those are known as income superior goods. Now, over these 5 years, as your demand for high-end products increase because your income has increased, your demand for low-end products will also fall. Those are known as inferior goods. That makes sense, right? When we are very rich, we can afford to consume certain goods. And then our demand for low-end products, whatever that category is, that demand falls. Those are known as income inferior goods. Now, how do we show that in a graph? That is the issue. Price of substitute has increased. What will happen to the demand for X? Will the demand for X increase or decrease? The price of substitute has increased. Coke. What will the demand for Pepsi? What will happen to the demand for Pepsi?
So it will increase.
Okay.
It will increase as well.
It will increase as well. Good. Has the price of X increased, or price of X has remained unchanged?
Sir, unchanged.
Unchanged.
Okay. Now, because the substitute price has increased, Coke has become more attractive to us. So at same price, we are now demanding more than before, right? So that will be a rightward shift. Just a second, let me just write it down. The price of a Pepsi has remained unchanged, as we said, but the price of the substitute has increased. That has made Pepsi more attractive. So we will have a tendency to demand more Pepsi than before at the same price. So isn't that a rightward movement? So rightward shift.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The reverse will also happen if our demand for Pepsi falls due to an external reason other than the Pepsi's own price, such that Pepsi becomes less attractive. Then horizontally that will be a leftward shift. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lovely. In that case, let us where is that graph? Oh, here it is. The black one is the original demand curve. Okay, so for whatever reason, an external reason, our good has become more attractive than before. So this is the price of the original good. This is not the price of something else. So how do we show it in a graph? It must be a rightward movement. Since it has become attractive, we demand more. Horizontally, that has to be a right shift. If it becomes less attractive, at the same price, we now demand less. So that must be a leftward shift. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Lovely. And for supply, it's the same thing. If, for example, due to the pandemic, the government gives a special package to some certain industries. So what happens? The government gives some subsidies. Isn't that reducing the cost of their production?
Yes, sir.
So even if the price of the commodity remains unchanged, at that same price, they can now supply more because their cost has fallen. So what will that be? A shift, a rightward shift of the supply curve, right? Won't it be a rightward shift? Because at the same price, because their cost of production has fallen, the government has given some benefit package. So at the same price, they can supply more. So it will be a rightward shift, right?
Yes, sir.
And if their cost of production increases, it will be a leftward shift. That's it. Okay. This one we have already discussed. Oh, now এটা আমরা discuss করি নাই. What is this? Acha. Marginal benefit greater than marginal cost. How do I discuss this? Okay. I'm deciding to have my first glass of water. I'm extremely thirsty. So I'm probably willing to pay 100 taka for the first glass of water. Why? Because I think that psychologically I'll get 100 taka worth of happiness from the first glass of water. I go to the restaurant shop and I find that a bottle of water costs 10 taka. So will I buy the first glass of water?
Yes, sir.
So if my additional benefit from consumption is greater than my additional cost, then my net benefit is positive, right?
Yes, sir.
So I will definitely say yes. It is a definite yes. I will have the next glass of water. Now, after the first glass of water, my thirst has gone. Now somebody asks me, will you have a second glass of water? Then I say, okay, I'm willing to pay 5 taka for the second glass of water. The price of the water has remained unchanged. I'm willing to pay 5 taka because I think that's the amount of happiness that I'll get. 5 taka. So I pay 5 taka. I go and see that the price of the water is 10 taka. Will I have the second glass of water?
No.
Okay, so now এখন দেখো, when my additional benefit is clearly more than my additional cost, my net benefit is positive. I give a definite yes. Yes, I will definitely go for the that glass of water, that particular glass, whether that's the first, second, or third. See, we are not calculating 1, 2, 3. We're calculating first, second, third. Now, if I see that the additional benefit I get from the glass of water is less than the cost of the water, will I have that particular unit? No. Like one person just said, the answer will be no. So I give a definite answer. But What happens if I find that the additional benefit is also equal to the additional cost? Do I get a definite answer? Definite
because-
answer. Definite, definite.
If your preference is matched, so you'll say yes.
Yes, but after that, will I say yes?
No, sir. After that, no.
Okay, that's the concept of equilibrium. If I see like this, my hand is like the balance is like this. This one is more heavy than this one. So what do? Either I make this one lighter, or I make this one heavier, right? So this carries on up to here. What do I do now? Do I make any one of the two lighter or heavier?
No, sir.
So when I reach a situation when I don't have a definite answer, that means I can't definitely say yes, I can't definitely say no, then that particular situation is known as equilibrium. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So now this. So we've done this one. আচ্ছা এইটা হচ্ছে একটা ইন্টারেস্টিং জিনিস. We won't be needing it actually, but it's good to know. Is there anybody in the class who knows what present value is? Forget net present value. What
Yes,
is the present value? Who said yes?
sir. Abu Khair.
Abu Khair. Okay, you tell me what a present value is.
Sir, present value of anything is what would be the value discounted for any return you expect. Like I'm talking from finance point of view.
Okay.
So if you're going to get some money, let's say 3 years from now, 300 taka, you cannot assume that today that 300 taka will be 300. It will be lower. Because if you had that money, you could invest, you could get some return on the money. So you always have to discount the future cash flows to present value in order to make an objective decision.
Okay. So you've told me a lot of things with a lot of technical jargon, right?
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to tell you something without any technical jargon. People can count in two ways. You can count starting from 0 and adding 1, 2, 3, 4. This is known as counting or accounting. Another way of counting is counting backwards. For example, at the beginning of the month, we get our salary, right?
Yes, sir.
What happens throughout the whole month? Isn't that big salary slowly becoming zeros, smaller and smaller as we proceed the end of the month?
Yes, sir.
That is known as discounting. Counting is counting from a small figure, slowly adding. That's known as counting or accounting, whatever word you use. Discounting means you start with a big figure and you slowly count backwards. Now, why is 100 taka not worth 100 taka today? If I have a 1000 taka note, I don't have it here now. In the last class I did. Okay. If attending a class at Brack University means I pay 50 taka bus fare to go and 50 taka bus fare to come. So how much is this 1000 taka worth? Isn't it worth 10 days of up-down bus?
Yes, sir.
So 1000 taka today is not worth 1000 taka to me. It's worth 100 taka because I spent 50 taka to get to the university. After the class, I spent 50 taka to come back from the university. So the discount rate which you're saying is that how much it is worth to me today. That is the discount rate. Now, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So, and sometimes this discount rate is also synonymously used as interest rate. But that's the whole logic, that the present, if we are looking at a single time analysis, marginal analysis is perfect. But like you said, if we are looking at a multiple time analysis, a stream of benefits, a stream of costs over 3 to 4 years. For example, your MBA will take 2 years and say 6 semesters. So when you calculate the decision, do I do the MBA or not? Then what do? You first of all calculate the stream of costs that you have to bear, right?
Yes, sir.
Is this stream of, you're not going to spend this stream of cost over one time period. It will be done over a few time periods, right?
Yes, sir.
And then what do? You calculate the additional benefit that you're going to get over time after the MBA program. So what do? If you see that, okay, over this 2 years, 6 semesters, I have to spend this amount of money, but after I spend it, the benefit that I'll get is much, much more than the stream of costs. Then you will definitely see the net present value as positive, right? Yes.
Yes.
So that's the same concept as marginal. In the context of marginal, what we said was, where is it? No, not this one. No, AJ. If we said if our additional benefit is more than our additional cost, then we definitely say yes, we're going to go for it. This concept, when we look at a multiple time period, then the additional benefit over a stream of time is greater than the additional cost over a stream of time. Then it becomes a present value analysis. And the discounting and the counting, is it clear now to everybody? The discounting rate. So if we are spending 1,000 taka over a span of 10 days on bus fare to go to BRAC and come back home, then the discounting must be 10%. If we are going to spend it over a stream of 5 days, then the discounting rate will be 20%. Is that clear? Huh?
Yes, sir.
So that's how the concept of discounting rate comes. Discounting is just the opposite way of counting. That means we start with a large sum, and the best way is thinking about your salary. At the beginning of the month, you have a good amount of money in your pocket, but as the month goes, you're discounting. You are counting, but you're counting backwards. So by the end of the month, your amount is very little. Or if you're clever, then it will be quite big if you can save money. Okay? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okie dokie. Now what else do we have? Some other. Oh, this is what we start off with next class. Okay, let me stop it then. So this is something I'm telling to your section. I forgot to say it to the previous section, and because of that, I'll make a 3 to 5 minute video. That is, next week is the last week before Eid. The lockdown has been extended to 14th, right? So far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the 14th will be a Wednesday. So that means lockdown is going to be finishing before Eid, unless they extend it. So 13th is our next class. In the next class, since we are 100% sure it is the last class before Eid, I will give an assignment. You will do it over the vacation, and I will discuss it with you before I give it to you. I will do the same thing with the next class on Saturday. That will be their last class before Eid. So I'll give their assignment on Saturday, and they'll get 7 days or whatever. Okay, and you will also get 7 days. Okay.
Okay, sir.
ঠিক আছে তো? Because I was thinking of giving an assignment, but later on I realized that it's better to do it over the Eid vacation when you are a little bit, relaxed.
Thank you, sir.
Because a lot of you are doing jobs at the moment, right?
Yes, sir.
And many of you are working from home, and actually working from home, you end up working much more than you do in the office.
Yes, sir. That's what I told sir, my boss. Like working from home, like I'm working, doesn't matter. 11 a.m. 11 a.m.
I mean, you just look. It's 9:35. I have none of us have had. I don't know about you guys. Your video is off. Maybe you're eating.
Yes, sir. So only for this reason I resigned last December. Only for this reason. It's too much, sir.
Now that's good. At least you're doing something productive. You're investing in a degree, right?
Yes, sir. This is more enjoyable actually, but working from home, it's too much.
Too much, and since I'm at home, you see, people have access to me at any time.
Sir, I think the problem is something different. I think from offices there is problem as well, but from home people don't
Yeah.
understand. Like you are at that time you are supposed to be at office, so they expect you to be at home as well. That is the worst part.
And the worst part is, you see, somebody will come. One of my managers, they know I'm at home, but they'll just come and knock. But there's a notice in front of my room, but nobody sees it. Anyhow, so that's why I think.
স্যার আমরা স্টার্ট করি 10:30টার সময় আর ম্যানেজারদের ঘুম ভাঙে 12টার সময়, আর তখন থেকে তাদের আবার শেষ হয় 12টার সময়।
This is too much. No, but we are not programmed to work at night. At night, either you rest or you relax.
স্যার একটা প্রবলেম হলো স্যার, এতক্ষণ বাসায় এতদিন ধরে বাসায় থাকতেছি, মানে সোশ্যালি ইন্টারাকশন কারোর সাথে হয় না। এইভাবে অনলাইনে শুধু বিরক্তিকর ইন্টারাকশন হইতে মানে ডিপ্রেসড হয়ে যায় বাসায় থেকে।
Depressed সবচেয়ে বড়, let me stop the recording.